Salutations, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're all fit and well out there in collecting land. And welcome back to the channel for another quarter scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Neca's quarter scale take on Michael Keaton, aka Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, as he appears in Tim Burtons now classic 1989 revival of the legendary Dark Knight. Before we get started, just a quick apology. If I sound like a bullfrog with bronchitis, it's because I'm still recovering from COVID, so if I sound a little on the croaky side, please bear with me. But the review will take the usual format. We will have a quick look at this enormous box, then it'll be down onto the table for a look at all the accessories, then it will be out with the Caped Crusader himself for a close-up look, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But as always, before we kick off, the usual round of shout outs and background. Firstly, a massive thank you to everyone who's liked, commented and subscribed to the channel since it first started. Your support and feedback has been truly amazing, and to all of those of you watching who haven't subscribed yet, come on, mash that bell notification icon and subscribe and like button. It's cost and pain free. You'll be helping the channel reach a wider audience and supporting us to keep doing what we're doing here at Go Figure. Also, you'll be sure not to miss any of the new content that's coming up on the channel. Trust me, there's a hell of a lot of it. Some of it will be listing at the end of this review, as always. So, in the words of Hot Chocolate, everyone's a winner. Background. Neca originally released this quarter scale take on bats about 10 years ago. But this version is part of the reissue Neca did about 3 years ago. I'm not going to bang on about Tim Burton's movie too much or Michael Keaton's performance, as pretty much everything to say on that subject has been said. So let's move swiftly on to this box, and a huge box it is too. Fair to say at this point as well, this isn't a brand new figure. I've had it in the collection a while. In fact, I've had it in the collection quite a while, and I thought it was overdue getting an up close and personal treatment in the Go Figure style. So yeah. Usual Neca style of box, very large, it's quarter scale figure. Obviously what you've got on the front here is the Batman logo, the bat symbol itself. The whole front cover of this box is designed, if you look closely, to look like his chest plate. So you've got the sort of the ab section there, and if you look at the top there you can see the edges of the cowl. At the bottom here is the belt in gold. Got a window, a small window at the top there. You can see the figure underneath it. On the sides, we'll swivel it around a little bit. On the left hand side you've got some really nice, if I can get these into shot, you've got some nice HD photos of the figure itself. I think that's pretty much the same story on the other side. Yep, some really nice high quality photos that we've come to expect from Neca. Let's take a look at the back. On the back, relatively simple presentation on the back. Once again, you've got that sort of cowl edging at the top of the box there. This one very moody, dark photo of Batman himself. Says Batman across the bottom there. And finally, let's take a look at what's on the top and on the bottom. If we can get this box to come down a little bit into shot. On the top, you've got the Batman logo. It says Neca in the left-hand corner there, Real Toys in the right-hand corner, and you've got the usual warning there and age restrictions. And on the bottom, you've got the usual warnings and credits there. Everybody who was involved in the figure, and the usual warnings and barcodes and so on. Don't piss this figure off, or it might go nuts. So there you have it. That's the box. So without further ado, let's get the guy out and let's get the accessories out. Let's dive down onto the table and have a look at everything that comes with your '89 Batman figure. Okay, so here we are, down on the table with all the accessories that come with your Neca quarter scale Batman figure. We'll start with the hands as we always do, you know, me and my hands. You get 5 hands in total with this figure. We'll grab a couple at random to see what we're looking at here. You get 2 fisted hands, you get a gripping hand for the grapple gun, and you get these other 2 gripping hands as well, which I will cover shortly. But yeah, we'll start with a fisted hand. We'll take a quick look at a fisted hand. Yeah, pretty good sculpt and paint work here. The paint is on point. It sort of creates that leather, that black leather look. You've got these painted studs in the palm, which is screen accurate. There's creasing on there. They're individually pegged, as with most Neca quarter scale figures, so you're not going to have any real issues with swapping these out. But yeah, there's some creases in the knuckles there. The paint applications are nice. There's ribbing on the back there. Overall, yeah, very, very good. Nice paint applications, nice sculpt. I suppose my only complaint, this is one of the gripping hands, is that there seems to have been some paint application issue, shall we say, on this particular hand, and I'm assuming this is the paint applications for the silver studs has somehow got on the back of the hand as well. But yeah, a minor gripe there, and it's only with this one hand. So yeah, as I said, you get these two gripping hands. Now these, might as well mention this from the get-go. The eagle-eyed amongst you will probably have noticed that we are a couple of accessories light here. Now this figure comes with two metal batons which actually slide into the lining of the cape, and then these two hands hold the other end of the baton, and you can recreate that sort of cape outlook, that ready to fly look almost. Unfortunately, my two batons appear to have gone walkabout temporarily, and my OCD alarm is going off like a klaxon in my head. With the amount of figures I've got, the years I've been collecting, when I get a figure, accessories are bagged, they're tagged, they're numbered, and they go into storage. That's for ease of finding at a later date, and they have gone missing. So yeah, I am going to have to improvise the aforementioned batons. Not too difficult actually. I'm going to be using a 6 scale waist grabber from a metal stand, but we'll get to that when we bring the figure out. So yeah, apologies for that from the get-go. Those batons aren't here at the moment, but we will improvise for the showcase at the end. So yeah, you get these two gripping hands which are designed for those two batons. The eagle-eyed amongst you as well will probably notice as well that I've actually got some sticky tack in the inside of this hand, and that's because the baton originally, the fit wasn't brilliant, and it wobbled around a lot and had a tendency, because they're made of metal, to slope off ever so slightly to one corner, which made one edge of the cape droop. So there's a bit of blue tack in there to give it some extra support. Don't think we'll be needing that with the improvised batons, but we'll see when we bring the figure out. So yeah, you get those two gripping hands, and it's the same story here. You've got the studs on the palms there. You've got the nice paint applications, creases in the knuckles, and bands on the back, and the paintwork to make it look like that black leather outfit that the '89 Batman wears. So yeah, two gripping hands. You've got this open palm. Well, I say open palm, it's more of a gripping hand. This is actually designed specifically for the grapple gun, and we'll take a look at that when we get to the grapple gun. So yeah, those are your hands. We'll pop those to one side temporarily. Talking of grapple gun, let's take a look at the weaponry. Now, all one piece of sculpted plastic, relatively simple this, screen accurate, and it has a fold out handle here, which clips down. I believe the original release of this, the 10-year-old version, actually had a silver section here, and I'm not 100% sure which is more screen accurate, whether it's meant to be silver there or meant to be black. I'm sure somebody will drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know. I need to revisit the film and check that. But yeah, the handle folds away into the body of the grapple gun itself. The detailing is good. There's some nice silver rivets that have been picked out there. Overall, it's pretty nicely painted. It's not the best paint applications I've seen. As you can see on the end of the grapple gun there, the gold paint is starting to come away, or it looks like it could possibly be black paint bleed that onto the grapple section itself, but it's got a gold paint application. Very flimsy here where it meets the end of the gun itself, so I would exercise caution. Super flimsy, as you can see there, bends really easily, but overall the sculpt is pretty good. Paint applications are not bad, and it's a pretty good quarter scale representation of the '89 grapple gun. While we're on the grapple gun, actually, well, we'll take a look at the hand that goes with it. Specifically designed for this hand, and if I can do this on camera, it slots straight in there. Really, no need for hot water or a hairdryer here, because the fit is pretty good. It will stay with a little bit of coaxing. It will stay in that hand. And yeah, that's a look you can go for, grapple gun in hand with the figure if you're wanting to. So yeah, while we're on the subject of the grapple gun as well, the figure comes with this little attachment. Now, this is designed to fit onto the utility belt here and hold both sections of the grapple gun. What's supposed to happen is that this thing is supposed to come apart in the middle here. Now, that is not coming apart. It never has done since I've owned it. I'm not even going to try and force it because I don't want to break it. But I think this is a common problem with this particular figure. What's supposed to happen is it's supposed to split there where my thumbs are. Then this section folds up, obviously, and then it sits in that section there, which will grip it with friction. So you can sort of put it around there. Then this section, the end section here, where it's come apart, clips into this section here. So you've got one facing down, one facing up, or the other way around, depending on how you mount it on the belt. And then you attach it to the utility belt with this clip here. But unfortunately, can't do that because obviously this section here does not want to budge. It is rock solid. And I've seen a few other reviews of this, and it seems to be a common problem with this particular figure, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's the grapple gun holder and hands. You also get a batarang, all plastic, relatively simple design. I don't know whether there's actually any black paint applications on here or whether this is just the original black plastic, but yeah, it's nicely done. It's hinged. You've got some silver paint applications on the tips there, hinged in 3 places, so you can break it down. It simply bends at the center there, and then the arms of the batarang bend in as well, so you can compact the whole thing. There's no real place on the utility belt for this though, unfortunately. It's a nice touch having it hinged like that, but what you can do is, once it's fully extended, is you can use one of the hands that holds the baton, and I'll grab one at random here, and you can have him hold, oh, he said confidently, with a little bit of finagling, you can get it to rest in that hand. So if you want to, and I dropped it again, retrieve it. If you're wanting to go for him holding the batarang, you can do that as well. That's a look you can go for. As I say, you can see me dropping it twice. It takes a bit of finagling to get it to sit in there, to rest in there. Maybe that blue tack will be useful for this as well. But yeah, that's an option as well, with a bit of work. So yeah, that's your batarang. You also get this grapple hook. Now, this is all one piece of sculpted plastic. Once again, it doesn't look like there are any black paint applications on here, but there may be. And once again, you've got these hooks at the end. Super fragile, this piece, I have to say. The eagle-eyed amongst you will probably notice there, it snapped when I first got this, and I've had to reattach it, re-glue it. It is incredibly delicate. Yeah, so exercise caution if you're picking this up or if you already have it. And as well, the same as the grapple gun, these hooks at the end they're made of plastic as well, so it's super thin plastic, so these will snap off very, very easily as well. So exercise caution with this piece. I've already managed to break it, but yeah, if you're super careful with it, you won't suffer the same fate as me. So that's the grapple hook, and it also comes with this grapple line. Now I'll just pop that down for a second. This grapple line's sort of made out of a springy clear plastic. It's got there's a bit of give to it. There's some sort of almost elasticity to it, but yeah, what you can do if you want to, and I won't attempt to do this on camera, don't know if the camera's catching this, but there's a tiny little eyelet at the end of the grapple there. What you can do is you can thread this through, and as you can see there, well, it will work. You thread it through there, then you can tie it off, and at the other end there is this tiny little black plastic plug. Now, I'll be damned if I know where the hell that's supposed to go on the figure. Maybe it's just there for decoration. But what you can do, if you are thus inclined, is tie this one end off and then have the other end in one of the gripping hands, so you can have him holding the grapple in one hand and the other end of the line in the other. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities there for posers if you want to do that. I don't use this. This literally has just come out of the bag for the first time for this review. But yeah, not something I use, but it's there if you want to. It's all a little bit too delicate for my taste, but yeah, we'll pop that to one side. So that's the grapple hook and the grapple line. So that is all the accessories, obviously bar those batons. What we are going to do is, as I mentioned before, is I'm going to improvise those batons by using this this 1/6 scale waist grabber, which I've broken into 2 pieces, and they are pretty much from there to there the same as the batons. The batons do extend out at the back a little bit to give it some lift, but this will have to do until I can locate the real McCoys. So there you have it. That's all the accessories. So without further ado, let's bring out Bats himself. Let's get him onto stand, onto the turntable, and take a close-up look at him. Okay, so here he is, folks. It's Bruce Wayne himself, aka Batman, aka Michael Keaton from the '89 Batman movie. Onto the stand, onto the turntable. Obviously, I can't give first impressions on this figure because I've had it in the collection a while, but I can give 3 millionth impressions. Still, I think this is a pretty impressive quarter scale figure from Neca. I think the proportions are spot on, the screen accuracy is there, the paint applications are great, the head sculpt is on point. I think it ticks all the boxes. However, unfortunately, there are some niggles of which we will get to, but we'll do as we always do. We will start at the bottom and work our way up. And let's stop him from spinning and take a close-up look at Bats himself. And get him into shot. Now, as I say, first impressions are really, really impressive. I can imagine picking this figure up 10 years ago. I've only had this probably 3 years. As I mentioned at the top there, it's the reissue. But I can imagine people picking this quarter scale figure up 10 years ago and being blown away with it. But you know, once again, Neca seem to really have it nailed on when it comes to quarter scale figures. But yeah, that's enough of my ramblings. Let's do the usual do and get him off this stand. And I am some distance away here, so it's going to take a bit of finagling, but we'll get him off this stand, get him up close and take a look at the details. So let's push that stand to one side. We will start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's start with these feet. Okay, so there's no split cut boot design here. These are pegged directly into the legs themselves. The boot itself, the actual sculpt of the boot is on point. The screen accuracy is there. I believe, I can't remember now. Were they Nikes? Were they adapted Adidas? I think they're adapted Nikes. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comment section below. But yeah, those boots are on point. The sculpting's nice. There's a little bit of tread on the bottom there. They're pegged straight in, so there's not a vast amount of play. Well, I think this is probably actually down to the usual Neca joint thing. This foot has got a lot of play in it, this not so much. But yeah, because they're pegged on, you've got a decent range of motion in there. There's lateral motion, there's forward and backward motion. This one's a little bit stiffer, but that's just the nature of, as I say, of some Neca figures. You've got this this sort of shielded area at the top of the boot itself, which is screen accurate. Moving up, you've got the sculpted shin guards. At the back here, you've got sculpted increasing. The paint applications are really nice to replicate that sort of leather-like look. Moving up, knee pads, proportions look on point to me. The joints, the knee joints, I've got a ratchet in them. It only goes to about there. You've probably got about 20 degrees, maybe 25 degrees play in there. It's not double jointed. There isn't a double ratchet joint, so you're limited in the bend of the knee here. So yeah, but it's the same story in the other one, obviously. Moving up, paint applications are really nice on this thigh area. I think they've got that tone absolutely spot on for the suit, because I mean there is so in the action figure world so much debate about this particular suit, but I think Neca have nailed it here. I think they've got the tone, the right amount of shine to it, but it looks on point to me. And you move up here into the waist section, and these legs are actually on a ratchet joint, as you can probably hear. So there's a certain amount of movement there, not a vast amount because of the nature of this of this sort of crotch area here, but they are ratcheted, so you can get a little bit of play in there. As you can see, you can get him sort of stepping forward, but there's some lateral movement as well out to the side. That's about the maximum you're going to get really on this, is to about there. But yeah, that's the joint at the waist. That paint job is continued up through the crotch area there. There's creasing in the suit, once again screen accurate. Then you come to this free-floating belt. This is one of my first issues with this particular piece. All one piece of sculpted plastic. The screen accuracy is there. There's some sort of black dry brushing on there, black washes rather, to pick out the detailing on the belt. But it's free-floating, which causes all kind of issues. Now I can see that Neca, why Neca did this, because obviously you've got that waist joint there. Which I believe it feels like it's a large ball joint there, but yeah, it can take some finagling getting this belt to sit right once you've got him in the pose that you want. Simply because it rests right on top of that particular joint, but it is what it is. The accuracy is there, most certainly, and the sculpt's really nice, and the paint applications are good. Moving up to the chest area now, once again, this can cause issues because you've got another joint there, which feels, so you've got that sort of chest twist, if you will. But with the nature of the free-floating utility belt, and then you've got this chest piece which drops over the top part of the main body itself. This can catch, as you can see, underneath there, and it can move the belt around. So it can cause some issues when you're posing. It can take a little bit of extra finagling to get everything to sit right. And the eagle-eyed amongst you will probably have noticed. Now, these are issues that are straight out of the box, I have to say, from the get-go here. These aren't things that have happened over time or with age with this figure. This was like this when I first received it, and I received it new. You can probably see that chest piece has a tendency not to sit flush. It wants to lean off to that angle there. Now, if you can straighten it out, and it will straighten out like that, but yeah, it has a tendency to tilt over. Now I'm assuming that will be down to the joint underneath the chest plate, but the chest plate itself is really, really nicely sculpted. Once again, screen accurate, paint applications are nice. You can see the definition of the abs there and of the chest area. Moving up, we'll take a look at the arms. We'll just get this cape out of the way, and we'll take a look at the arms themselves. Now, the arms are really, really nicely done. I will get these closer into camera. Obviously, you've got the spikes on the gauntlets there. They're screen accurate. The arms themselves have got a ratchet joint in them, which gives a decent amount of movement, if not a huge amount. The shoulders, now the shoulders themselves are on what feels like a ball joint. It doesn't feel like there's a butterfly joint there. It just feels like a straightforward ball joint into the shoulder, but you've got a decent amount of movement there. You can get the arms right above the head. It'll pretty much do a complete 360 actually on here. Yeah, it'll do a 360. So the upper body articulation is good for posing. But yeah, same level of paint applications on the suit underneath there on the arms. You've got a slightly higher gloss at the cuff area there where it meets the glove. And at the end of the gauntlet, so you've got a mixture of although it doesn't it doesn't clash with the slightly more matte paint application of the body. You do have some high gloss areas on there as well, which I believe are screen accurate. So yeah, that's the arms. Moving up to the cape now. This cape and cowl. I'm going to try and get this a little bit closer, and now the eagle-eyed amongst you will probably have noticed this, and I'm going to get him to try and sit flush there. Now, straight away, and once again, this was an issue out of that box, that bat symbol at the center of the chest there is off. It doesn't sit right. Now, there's no real give in this cowl. I'll try and just drop this down a little bit lower so you can see this. There's not an awful lot of head movement with this. There's probably a tiny little bit, but I think it's the way it's been positioned. If you muck around with it, you can get that bat symbol to sit flush, but once again, it wants to go off to the left hand side for some strange reason, which I can't fathom. But yeah, so it doesn't. You have to really futz around with this, otherwise you will end up with the bat symbol, rather than being on the chest, being on the cowl, will go off at an angle as well. So yeah. Minor gripe there, but yeah, the cape now. The material, how can I describe this material? Well, it's lined, it's double thickness. The stitching's really, really nice. I'll get this into shot here. Stitch work is really, really good. It's a simple drape cape. There's no wires in here. It would have been nice to maybe see some wires. How can I describe this? Well, it's not leather, obviously, although it's meant to look like leather. It's not dissimilar to... If there's anybody out there who owns the Hot Toys original '89 Batman, it's very similar to that material, only slightly thicker, and prone to creasing, as was the Hot Toys version. I'll just bring it around the back here. As you can see, it creases quite easily, and it's difficult to get those creases out. They tend not to fall out on their own, and I'm loath to try and iron something like this because obviously this material would just instantly melt. Maybe you could steam them out, but yeah, it feels nice to the touch and looks relatively screen accurate in proportions. The size is right, the length is right, it's heavy and it feels of good quality. It's just that material sometimes can be a bit of a pain in the proverbials, the way it creases up, but overall I think it's rather nice. Let's take a look at the head sculpt now. The head sculpt, I think, is really, really good. I think it's absolutely on point, but there is a QC issue here with my version. And I don't know whether the camera's catching this. The cowl itself is has been sculpted and painted very, very accurately, because it had that, the cowl of the '89 Batman had that sort of slightly rough hewn, shall we say, look and feel to it around the neck and shoulders area, where it smoothed out slightly as the cowl as it went up to the top of the cowl. So the proportions are there, the paint applications are good, and I think pretty much on point. My issue with this is that whole head sculpt is not actually in the cowl at the right angle. It's not so much noticeable with the mouth area, which is really nicely done, I might add. I think the sculpt there, the paint applications are unmistakably Keaton. The lips have been picked out with a slightly pinker paint application. I like the skin texturing on there, and as always, unmistakably Keaton, but it's very difficult to be instantly recognise an actor from the lower portion of his face. But Neca have done it here. It's on point. There's no mistaking that as Keaton. But my issue here is that sculpt and cowl are not flush with each other, and it's probably most noticeable in the eye area. If I bring this closer into shot, you can see that the left eye there is actually resting above the top of the eyelet there. Now, there's no way of futzing this because this is one solid piece. It's obviously been glued on and together. So I would say that yeah, that's a QC issue there. That face is not flush to that cowl, unfortunately, and it's a shame because the head sculpt itself is absolutely on point. Much debate about ears on cowls. I think they are pretty much the right size and the right shape for the '89 Batman. I think they've got the Keaton's face absolutely nailed on. To me, it's how this was put together. Yeah, it's lopsided, simple as that. Yeah, and it's a shame because it throws it off for me and my OCD. I look at that and straight away I'm thinking, why the hell is one eye not shown properly through this side? But yeah, that's one of my gripes. Another one of my gripes with this piece, which overall great head sculpt, but yeah, QC issues there. So consider yourself suitably chastised, Neca, on that one. But yeah, there you have it. So that's the '89 Batman quarter scale, courtesy of Neca. We'll get him back onto the stand, and I think actually what we'll do at this point as well, as I mentioned before, there's the baton option. We'll cut to my improvised solution and see how he looks cape out. So let's cut to cape out. Okay, so here he is with cape open, cape out, with my improvised batons. And herein lies another one of my niggles with this particular piece. Now, Yeah, we've got to take into account I've had to improvise these batons, but they pretty much run to the same length that the originals did. They don't have the support at the back, which the originals do, and I will find them. I will save my OCD, but yeah. So what would happen with the original ones is you'd have a little bit more support and a little bit more sort of outward flex with this, and obviously you wouldn't have these pieces hanging down from the hands themselves. But the issue for me really, although this is an impressive look, I think it really is, and when you light it right, it is so photogenic, this piece. But the main issue for me is that the point of having that cape open is to get that look. How can I describe it? The Axis Chemicals look, where you first see Batman actually open his arms up and raise both arms to his sides, to shoulder height, and it's shot from underneath, and you get that really impressive sort of full first look at the cape before he jumps. And the nature of the articulation with this piece, unfortunately, those arms, this is as far back as they'll go and as far up as they will go, so they end up sort of sticking out to the front, so to speak, rather than being parallel to the shoulders, which is a look that really I'd like to see. So yeah, you can't really get these arms to go any further up, and that's simply because of this cowl. The cowl just completely restricts it, so there's no way they will go back any further or up any further, which sort of I don't know, it doesn't defeat the object, but it takes away from the impact, shall we say, for me. But yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't see the hands as well with the original batons as much. So it's still an impressive feature, and I still think it looks great, but it's not quite there as far as I'm concerned. I think it's slightly off. Yeah, so let's go in for final thoughts on this particular piece. I've got to say, I think the paint applications, the proportions, the screen accuracy are all nailed on. I think it's let down by a number of niggly issues that I've had to live with. And as I say, these were straight out the box. These weren't. These aren't things that developed over time. There's that problem around the waist area with everything catching, and that lean to the left, which, as I say, was there when it initially came out the box. The open cape look, obviously, being problematic, but because of the nature of the articulation in the shoulders and that cowl getting in the way, so you can't quite nail that look. The biggest gripe for me is going to be that head sculpt, and that's a QC issue. You know, you can probably really see it if I get him to look directly into camera here. It really becomes obvious when you've got a bit of distance between you. It looks like he's winking or he's drunk. Yeah, that head should not have got through QC with the issues that it's got there. So yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I can see other pieces, other versions of this figure without that issue being absolutely on point, but I've got to score it on what I see in front of me, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to score it down for those issues. And it's a shame really, because there is a fantastic version of the '89 Batman fighting to get out here in quarter scale. It could be really something phenomenal, but unfortunately it's let down by those niggly issues, as I mentioned. So score out of 10, oh, that's a tough one. 7.5, maybe an 8 on a good day. I'm going to have to go 7.5, and it hurts me to do it because I know what I'm looking at here has such potential to be an amazing quarter scale version of Keaton's Batman, and at a great price point as well, because we all know, you know, if you're looking at a decent quarter scale statue version of Batman, the '89 Batman, you're going to have to sell a kidney on eBay to afford. So yeah, it's a real shame. Neca almost hit the target with this one. It's just those few niggly little points that let it down for me. So yeah, 7.5, 8, unfortunately. It's not to say I don't like it. I still love it. I still think it's a great piece. Tend not to display it as much because that cowl drives my OCD up the wall every time I look at it. I think he's winking at me for some odd reason. But yeah, there you have it. That is Neca's quarter scale take on the '89 Batman as played by Michael Keaton. So what are your thoughts on this piece? Do you have this piece in your collection? Does it suffer from similar issues, or have you got one that is in better shape than this one? I'd be fascinated to hear. Please drop a comment in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on Neca? What are your thoughts on Tim Burton's '89 Batman? What are your thoughts? Nothing's off menu. Please drop a comment in the comment section below. I'd be fascinated to hear. And I hope this review's been useful for you. What we got coming up on the channel? Yeah, brief rundown. As always, in the quarter scale world, we have the Prime 1 N52 Batman statue. That should be wending its way to us soon. Actually, on their way as we speak, in flight, on a boat, whatever. We've got the in-art Bruce Wayne. That's coming up for review shortly. We've on its way as we speak as well are the Present Toys Anton Chigurh and the narrator, aka Ed Norton from Fight Club. From Premier Toys, we've got the Interstellar double pack. We have got the Doof Warrior from Mad Max Fury Road, and we've got Dementus and Furiosa from Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Caustic Plastic, Chuck Norris, Lon Chaney, Phantom of the Opera, Toshiro Mifune, to name but a few. Susu Toys, Blade 3. In the Hot Toys department, there's Kidpool, there's the Feral Predator. There's a raft of stuff coming up, and we've got showcases and previews and other reviews as well. And of course, I will be torturing myself for your amusement with more episodes of Don't Make Me Choose, where I put a metaphorical gun to my head, bring out two of my favorite figures, and I have to pick one and lose one. So yeah, there's going to be plenty more episodes of that. So if you haven't already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the content that's coming up on the channel. And I suppose all that remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.